it will be the victor here to come through for effort. And I don't know why we're hovering Fun Champ. Actually, it is Closer. He would. He would be that guy.
He could definitely Aurelia this game, especially with the severe amount of magic damage that they already have, right? Because this is Imperial Mandate Ashe, you're going to be empowering things like Maokai and Heimerdinger to do a lot more, and that is the Aurelia locked in. Karras going to have to deal with that on his Victor now, and remember, this is Closer. This is the champion that he's known for. That's why he has that huge grin on his face. We'll see whether that grin will be there at the end of this game as well.
So, I think this is a huge risk that Sandbox is taking. Because if this Aurelia doesn't pop off, if you don't fight a couple of great early fights, if you don't snowball the game in a way that you were categorically unable to in the last two previous previous games that you played against Bro, I don't think you win the late game. Late game, unless you find some truly amazing flanks, especially if Envy goes for the same build, you are going to be lacking damage. And your hard engage, sure, is great. You're playing against a Victor, Soraka, Varus, like the kite back will be devastating to deal with, so pressure on Lift Sandbox, but oh boy, if they snowball, the game becomes very unplayable for Bro real quick, because champions like the Victor need time, they need space, and if you're not given that, champion looks extremely unimpressive.
Certainly does. We'll see whether Karras can channel some Bulldog on his Victor here today, because I think he's going to need to do so in order to stand up to the Closer test on the champion that he really made a name for himself on. This was how he managed to sort of stand apart from Faker when he was sitting behind him on T1. It was because he was so good at these hyper-aggressive physical melee carries in the mid lane. And not to say that Faker isn't also good at those, but he was also not playing as many of them while Closer was. Certainly a bit of a risk to be taken here for Liv Sandbox, but they're going to leave it all on the Rift as we head to game number 3. Remember, this is for 3rd place in the LCK. It's not even a joke. We're playing for 3rd place.
Yeah, because this Liv Sandbox beats Hanwha Live and KT.
Yeah. It's pretty nutty. A lot of people actually very confused as to why Hanwha have not looked very good at all. Because apparently in scrims, they destroy everyone. They're extremely good.
Yeah, I I'm a big believer in Scrimbox. The other day I tried to pay my rent with them, and they were like, no, you can't do that.
Liv Sandbox sprayed Scrimbox all over Lolpark when they made their way out.
Because they're not worth anything.
Yeah.
Are we going to look at the sad cat disappear?
Aww,
who wants to give him a hug?
Aww.
Mean, Karras. Mean.
Well, Piggy comes in, and Umpty says, no more funny business. As Willa over here, he's taken Growlithe, or Flareon. I think we landed on Flareon as his Pokemon of choice. And that does mean that he's going for that more, damage graph at the end of the game based Maokai. There's a fair bit of extra damage. Hasn't gone First Strike or anything too crazy like that, so it's still going to be Phase Rush. So likely Demonic Embrace to come through first. As Counter-Strike gets a little bit of a stun there. Nice work from Morgan. We'll see whether Morgan's Jax can once again be a pivotal part of Bro's attempted grab at some momentum.
I forgot, and I was actually shocked. Nice working that in, by the way.
Thanks.
That Morgan lost on his Renekton. Even if the game state is bad, they generally don't lose on that champion.
Well,
and
they basically won until they gave their opposition an Elder Drake.
Yeah, but that's part of the normal. That's just a normal.
So I wouldn't say I'm not going to put that on his stat sheet as a loss, though.
Yes, no, it is.
Nah.
As Envy did go for the poke build again, and with this setup, I do think you're a little bit more forced to play more proactive anyway. And if Closer doesn't go in on a rally, the champion doesn't actually do anything. So hopefully the team trusts him and will follow him on what hopefully will be many engages, and will leave us with a different type of game. Although, if you want, I can give you a couple of sneak peeks toward topics that you and I can discuss if this game takes a similar pace to game number 1 and 2.
Well, I was having a chat in between games about the important topics that we were discussing in the previous game that we saw.
Yes.
And that was the animals for each team.
Yes.
I think some people are a bit confused as to the owl for D plus Kia. And I think I sort of understood where you went with it, but I didn't really understand the thought process so much.
So you want me to further explain?
Yeah.
So I think Damwon Kia is a team that is very wise. They have Kalin. He kind of looks like he has like
it does owlish
features. And for a large period of time, they were soaring over the LCK.
Ooh.
But then they woke up the dragon again, and now the dragon is clearly very
So
bad.
why is the dragon not DRX, who were formerly Longzhu, which was actually a
Which
dragon?
was also Dragon X. Yeah, no, I'm aware. Well, you wanted to make DRX an anime animal. And
Well, that was because T1 was already a dragon.
Can you please let me finish?
Sorry, yes.
I'm very... we're trying to have a conversation here.
Yeah.
Although we are getting interrupted. No, never mind. Not interrupted. Got me there.
Yeah.
So, T1 themselves use a lot of dragon imagery. So I just followed their own example. We can have 2 dragons. That's fine as well.
That's a grenade. Heal has to be used there from effort towards the bottom side.
There's actually a ton of different dragons, so I'd be fine with having 2 dragons. I was just happy about an anime animal, especially coming from you, because it sounds like the type of thing where if I'd suggested, you wouldn't want to do it.
Well, that leads to my second point, which is apparently the most anime animal is a honey badger. I don't know anything about anime, so I just have to smile and nod.
I'm personally not on board. I like the Nine-Tailed Fox a lot more.
Okay. Like Ari is actually just there. I can see it. I can see it. So I think the animals have been secured, and therefore I think we can go into your first topic that you had prepared.
So, well, I will give you some ideas, some suggestions, and then we can go and touch upon them whenever you feel like it.
Okay.
As this game, hopefully, as soon as Closer hits 6, he's going to be looking for all-ins across the map. Possibly towards the bot side of the map if they can get themselves a nice dive set up. But, you know, there we go.
Ooh.
It's
the
damage.
Closer hitting some buttons.
So,
yeah,
I want to ask you about your favorite movies and when you saw them first. Then secondly, I want to ask, what is your take on a perfect album? Every single song, start to finish, complete banger. And then last, your favorite game is Breath of the Wild, correct?
I would
tough,
say that, well, I don't know whether it's my favorite game, but I think it's the greatest game ever made.
Okay, so which LCK player would be the best Breath of the Wild speedrunner?
Ooh.
So we can do that one last week.
Canyon.
Some time as Birdle.
Canyon would. He's got the he did that really cool thing on Lee Sin where he pressed lots of buttons all the time. His Birdle could be in trouble. No, he couldn't. It's so silly. Imagine. Willer is going to start off this streak. Umpty just went for a back. And it looks like this dragon should fall the hands of the tree. And I believe knowledge is there. This is going down. And therefore, Morgan is just killing minions in between turrets in the top lane. But yeah, no, I would say that it's probably Canyon that would be the best Breath of the Wild speedrunner. Because I feel like he has the ability to nail complex series of inputs the most consistently, which is what you need in order to be a Breath of the Wild speedrunner, I would say.
Okay.
But that's a fun question.
Thank you.
He'd probably get my vote, though. Would that be what would yours be?
Carrier?
Yeah, I think Carrier is also a good one, as Karis is going to put down a gravity field. Does make it very difficult for the Aurelia, who's just going to dash as much as she possibly can. Morgan not going to quite find the leap strike to get that counter-strike sorted. So therefore, Closer will be all right for now. That flash on cooldown. Karis held onto his. So while Closer did a lot of things, not a lot of good happened as a result.
Looks cool. Unfortunately, for Closer, not having the flash available, whereas Karis still has his, means that any potential all-in is going to lose a little bit of its teeth. And really nice roam there by Morgan, actually utilizing his priority very proactively and setting up his mid laner for a little bit of an easier time And I want to again reiterate that as far as the game goes, Liv Sandbox should be extremely strong now that they've reached level 6. There is still opportunities for them even later in the game, especially if they can start or stack a couple of Drakes, because their Drake control is actually amazing, right? If they're first to objective, they set up with Heimer turrets, they have Ashe, and even though the poke build is really going to lack damage in the late game, like in the mid game, Ashe Heimer's objective taking should be exceptional. And if Liv Sandbox don't do anything, then they will be purified by the Brionne way of life, where they...
Yes.
Oh,
wait and
would love
see.
this. Would love this from Closer, but Effort seems to know that something is going on, doesn't trust it, and just the presence of Closer hiding in fog and pathing towards Bog already forces Hannah to get very far off that turret. So if Sandbox can keep applying pressure like that, and they can actually get a couple of early Drakes and roll a Mountain or a Hex stack, then I do think that they have a shot even in late stage of the game.
All right.
If they don't, well, we're going to need a lot more topics because Brionne is not going to make this fast.
That is not their way of life, as Chains of Corruption do go wide. Great grenade there from Kyle. As Morgan taking a bit of damage here towards this top side. The top laners are hitting one another quite often. As Wallace Duet comes in, we're just going to head towards this top side because Cassante things are happening and Morgan does not like it. That's first blood solo kill for Bertel.
We've seen this one before. The Jax matchup is a treacherous one. Really gotta respect, and the long lane that can easily get run down. Not sure what happened, that Morgan's wave state was such that he needed to walk up, but Bertel, nicely done. Able to pick themselves up a number of plates. No TP for Morgan either, so he is going to lose a lot.
Oh yeah.
And Bertel going to be feeling a lot better. And these are exactly the type of moments that Sandbox need. And also that we know that they're capable of.
Oh, 100%. And this is fantastic from Bertel. We really do need to see that killer instinct come out again in this, guys. Let's check it out one more time. We've seen this a few times now.
Yeah.
Just Cassante things happening.
Pretty straightforward. Attacks Morgan initially, pops the Ghost, just runs him down. No wave to jump to. And early Gauntlet now done for Bertel. Means that if they want to contest, say, a second objective, they definitely will be able to. He did TP back to lane though, and while this is nice in terms of him actually being able to apply a lot of pressure, as Wu might have a gank here.
Yeah, Morgan not going to leave strike.
Yeah, that's
he
a
does
bait.
get pulled back, exactly right. Will is turning up though. Umpty's going to get in here. Glacial Prison. Zoning. Get rid of Willa. And Morgan just going to tidy up the rest of the wave.
Because with Bertel using his teleport there, actually contesting a Drake can be advantageous for Bro if they are willing to teleport Morgan down. Now, we don't know which Drake is going to be. Also do note, Closer keeping the wave very far up here, which our observers are nice enough of showing, which Paris is a victor, so he can farm decently safe, as Kyle is just being Heimer on the ward.
Yeah.
But this is still not great, right? You can't really do a lot about this. We immediately see Umpty make his way towards the mid lane. Really nicely done by Closer, right? Like, this setup is...
It kind of looked like The Sims there for a second, you know? Like, you've got the Heimerdinger walking on up, you know? And then Villa, like, walks his dog through mid lane. Now Umpty's riding his pig over towards this dragon.
I know The Sims have a lot of expansions, but like, what have you been playing at?
I know, it's just, you know, just looked a little bit like their characters walking down the street.
Yeah, it was fairly leisurely. I can see it as Blade the Rune King now done.
Yeah.
Herald being used.
Shelly's going to turn up. See how many plates she can gather here. As Umpty's going to pick up the plate. But she did manage to get out there. Of course, no previous damage being done. That makes things difficult. As Bertel's going to move this entire mini wave towards the turret. And Bertel gets that ward over as well. Will find the ult to take Morgan all the way out of this one. He is going to have to flash to get back towards his turret, but he may not be out of danger just yet. This is getting real scary, and Bertel's pushing this advantage so well.
Really nicely done by Bertel there. Use the ward to... Oh,
that would have been hilarious.
It would have been, but I still don't think that Brionne is really in a position to fight this. Oh, Bertel.
Well, Morgan gonna get the wish from Effort.
That's also the end of a contest, right?
As
Means
the
you can't do
arrow
anything.
is going to sail towards the top lane. And Morgan had about 5 people telling him that it was happening.
Oh, disaster for Sandbox.
Oh dear. It's going to be another Chemtech goal. Disaster also for Valdez. I mean,
Well,
no, it's his favorite, isn't it?
There are more pressing things in this game for Valdez to be
Yeah, that's true.
relatively unhappy about, as Birdle now single-handedly being a really big pressure point. And this is very good. Again, it's a bummer that your soul is not as good as the one you could have had. But regardless, you're actually playing according to your pressure. You're getting a couple of early leads. And if you can get a soul online at like an Elder fight in about 9 minutes, that's still great. I still think that at that point as Sandbox, you should still be firmly in control and can ride that Elder into a win, right? You can apply either use it to then pressure a Baron, you can turn it into a definitive teamfight win, you can then snowball, so it provides opportunities, but that does require Sandbox to play a little bit faster and looser and also actually get all those dragons. And
Yeah.
we've seen some mild oopsies in terms of individual positioning.
Yep, and so I guess we'll go back to that question that you asked previously, and I'd like to ask it to you. So outside of League of Legends, what is your favorite video game?
That is a very tough question. I don't actually have an answer.
I have like a few
Because it depends on genre and like what do you want? It's nice still by Umpty. Well done.
Yep, nicely done.
Keeps the
No,
vision-
but it's just your favorite. The genre is video game.
Well, yeah, but that
What's your favorite genre? Because I would then choose a game out of that genre.
so if it's competitive games, it's League of Legends, obviously.
I mean, I said
self-explanatory.
outside of League of Legends.
Yeah. So if you're talking RPGs, it's probably Persona 3.
Okay.
Maybe Persona 4, not quite sure. It's a bit of a back and forth.
Arrow going to be cleansed here as Umpty's going to dive towards the Heimerdinger, but Nature's Grasp is coming forward. Let's see whether effort can keep the piggy alive, and he can.
Very nice.
Buttons are being pressed.
Should be
However,
Herald,
not
though.
a lot of results, as yes, could be Shirley.
And Sandbox actually playing this one out a lot more by the book compared to the previous games, right? Know you're ahead, so force a fight on mid, use your initiation, force Bro to respond. Bro right now not really in a great position to fight, so as a result you can turn it into a Herald. We can then crash the Herald on mid. Also have our side lane shoving, so looking quite nicely. If you're talking about, you know, more artsy games, kind of the more esoteric, Gris is amazing.
Oh, I really enjoyed that game.
Yeah,
Also, if you are looking for...
simply exceptional.
This is actually like, so if you enjoy these far less action-packed games,
Yeah.
you'd really like Dear Esther. Did you play Dear Esther?
I have not.
It's a game where all you do is walk,
That sounds great. Yeah.
and a narrator tells you a story.
Yeah, no, I love walking sims.
It's
They're
absolutely
wonderful.
brilliant. It was one of the earlier walking sims.
So-
the game was phenomenal.
If you're talking visual novels,
It
it used to be Steins Gate, which also great anime. Slow burn, very much, but definitely great. But last year, I read The House in Fata Morgana. That's one of the greatest stories that I've ever seen.
Oh,
boy.
that is a pretty nice flash, but the ulti's still going to come through. Karras puts down a gravity field, but it does not do anything. That is a beautiful pick-off on the Victor. Closer needs these. Takes 3 turret shots because he can. He'll take down this turret as well, most likely.
Really happy with what we're seeing here from Sandbox, and I know that we joke a lot about the pace of the previous games, but to me one of the more jarring things was seeing Sandbox go from a team that was very proactive, as I don't know about this one. Birdle might be in some trouble here.
Did Umpty actually get spotted at all? Because I feel like Birdle just walked past him. As he goes Umpty, see whether he can find it. Winter's Wrath comes in.
He
And
doesn't.
there it is. Well,
He's
Birdle
taking
just
0 damage.
I think he's being healed. As now he's just going to ult Umpty away. Look to start off this battle first. He's down to 50% health, but there's the arrow to come in. Now Birdle's continuing the fight. Morgan, please help him! Please help him, Morgan! And Morgan will. The Lord has said that you shall live, Umpty. And Birdle shall as well.
Oh, the amount of time that buys Sandbox full control of the bot side of the map. Drake spawning in 15 seconds. Herald charging down mid. Wheeler is making a play.
Yeah, Nature's Grasp to come in. Henna does immediately get healed. He does have the cleanse as well, but Aurelia is just going to pick up the easiest double kill of her life. And Karis, I think he regrets that particular teleport as in between the turrets. He becomes Heimer food. And Liv Sandbox will take the turret, they'll take the Drake, they'll take the lives of 3 people, and they'll walk away.
And that is the Liv Sandbox as
no.
that we've been waiting for. A team that surely, not without fault, we saw how much they struggled in their D+ game. But the reason, as much as we, I think, at this point can question Hanwha Life and their overall form, their consistency, their identity as a team, KT took a game of T1. KT 2-0'd Hanwha Life. And Liv Sandbox still beat this team. And that by itself should be enough of evidence for us that them winning might not have been a fluke. We might have just been all underrating this team as this is just
they did,
right?
They did almost lose 0-2 to Bro.
But then they didn't.
Well, no, Bro then decided to give them the game.
Yeah, but come on, let me be excited, Atlas. Give me this one.
Well, you know, we just need to temper expectations just a little bit, as this has not necessarily been the cleanest series that we've witnessed
but
so
this
far.
game is.
This game is definitely so much better, and it's great to see Closer on his Aurelia, a champion that he was so well known for, and just popping off on it as well. As Umpty's going to look for him here. Might have been a slight caster curse as he throws out the ultimate. Blue buff might be there, but Willa is going to steal that one away. Great little grenade. Just to slow him down, send him a message.
Yeah,
message is received.
Although Bruto wasn't here, but even 5 versus 4, I don't think you're feeling too hot. There's also, I say contest, there is no dragon. They were just looking for a pick. I just kind of assumed, with the amount of people being thrown towards the bot side of the map, that there was an objective to fight over, but was merely an attempt to take down Closer. And Bruto says, oh, I get to be alone in the side lane. Well, I was having fun 1v2ing, but I guess I'll take it. So back to House in Fata Morgana.
Oh, yeah.
One of the best stories I've ever read. Incredible visual novel. Great music, great art style. Kind of a mix between like a mystery and a little bit of gothic horror.
Mm-hmm.
Very long. Would highly recommend. So we already talked about you loving Breath of the Wild. Got any other deep cuts for us that you want to share with the room?
So, I mean, if you're going to break it down by genre, I probably wouldn't do that. I'd probably like break it down by like all time and then like more recent, and then it'd be more genre based.
That's your.
Because I think my favorite game of all time is Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy Kong's Quest.
Great choice.
It's probably my favorite.
Is it because of the David Wise soundtrack?
Well, I mean, that definitely plays a part, but he was there for all of them, and all of the soundtracks for all of those games were absolutely incredible, including Donkey Kong Country Returns and Tropical Freeze.
Oh, Tropical Freeze.
Tropical Freeze soundtrack. Oh my goodness.
So good.
Just extraordinary. Otherwise, I'm similar to you. We have similar ideas when it comes to games that we like, but my favorite RPG was Golden Sun.
I've actually heard that if you play aquatic ambience, underneath our casting, it syncs up perfectly.
Oh, yeah. That makes some sense,
right?
And when the action starts to really break out, then you can bring out the Sticker Brush Symphony.
Oh yeah, that's when you really get crazy.
That's when you really get crazy. That's when you up the BPM to something really nutty. As Umpty is standing there, and he will discontinue standing there. Karis does a bit of damage, but not really anything that Closer is too worried about. This game is completely out of Bro's control right now. They're going to need a miracle as there's a flash from Closer. The arrow's going to connect as well as the wish comes down, but Closer does not care about your wishes or your hopes and dreams. He just wants to push you back towards your base, and he'll pick up the kill under effort as well. Envy just splitting in that mid lane. Morgan desperately trying to save the remnants of this game.
And truly textbook, right? Sandbox continuously forcing fights, playing very aggressive, looking for opportunities to take down the opposing members. And while that is happening, Brutal, again, on butter, in his own lane, just casually pushing on. As where did the scoreboard go?
Well, you don't really... Let me just say that the scoreboard looks a little bit like Live Sandbox are doing okay. As the scoreboard it'll come back. I'm sure it will. The scoreboard might only have until a certain amount of time, and then it turns into a pumpkin. So it may have turned into a pumpkin. Because if this match was Cinderella, then we would definitely be. It'd be about time to go home. Anyway, we have been here for quite some time, is what I'm saying. As the scoreboard disappears once again, we still have all the information that we need, so no one's too worried. Yeah,
the new thing is that we start 2 hours earlier, but we haven't actually... feels like we haven't actually gone home 2 hours earlier yet. It's a deep teleport here, and this is a soul point, obviously, coming through here or a soul rather, for Sandbox, and I don't think you can test. Just let them have it.
Wow. These arrows are like, they're hitting all the time, but they're really just not doing anything, you know? Like, there's a lot of arrows that MB's landed.
They're very low impact.
Yeah. It's interesting. As Karis wasn't teleporting or anything like that, so I could have looked silly.
Hold up. Morgan going in.
Yeah, let's see. Speaking of teleports, Umpty finds himself in amongst a lot of people. And now the flawless duet doesn't quite connect there as Morgan flashes for the counter-strike. There's the Glacial Prison closer. He's now just going to try and blade surge his way around this one, and eventually he will fall. Karis eventually manages to flash, as well as Bro. They may have done it. They may have found a fight. As Bertle will survive, the rockets sail by as well as Kyle marks the end of that scuffle. Could you call it a team fight? One person died. I guess you can. As now the nature will be grasping at straws at this point in time. There's not a whole lot they can do without their super fed Aurelia.
Those are the moments that can constitute a comeback. Need a couple more of those. Sandbox taking themselves a Dragon here, and with that deep teleport, the entirety of Bro ready to collapse onto Closer. As we can see, Closer unfortunately unable to find himself the E as a result. Very nice combo from Morgan and Umpty there to salvage this, and this was 3 versus 5 and it was still close.
Yeah.
Which is not a great sign of things to come for Brion, but they haven't lost Baron just yet. They will soon though, because Closer is alive again, and that's very bad news. But they didn't lose it there. And
no.
They also killed and got a shutdown on Closer, which is nice.
They're only 8,000 gold behind.
Yeah, it's not good, but it's
could be worse. Could be 9,000 gold behind.
I like your relentless optimism, Atlas. I appreciate that.
You gotta keep believing. That's what Journey told me. As, all right, Karis is getting hit by an arrow again. And doesn't really mind about it again. It's okay. Ingo's Closer effort just going to get obliterated. There's the stopwatch as well. Nature's Grasp comes in, keeps them all tied down so Closer can get these autos through. Umpty tanks for a really long time, but it's not enough. And Karis just doesn't have the damage. Morgan having to get out of there as well as Kyle's the one to get that flash and take him down. Willa chasing after Karis here, who blast cones himself to Narnia, but Willa twisted advances, so he's going to follow him. There's a gravity field. He's trying to at least buy some space and get the yakety sax ready. This game is ridiculous. Bertle is going to come through and finish off the kill.
Where were you when Heimer traveled to space? He has plenty of rockets. He just had to figure out how to use them, Atlas, as overall the game.
It's like
unfortunately, it's dissolving in front of Brion's eyes. Baron's gonna get started up here, and it was already in a bad state, but that might very well be the killing blow. Envy?
Effort! You can do it! You can do it, buddy!
No!
Oh my goodness!
Oh god, you keep me upsetting.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, MD. Absolutely robbed. As alright, the Baron is going to be taken. Where to Brion? Don't exist anymore. Brion are still in this game. Still have the ability to fight back. Maybe. We'll see. Check out this fight one more time.
Truly, it's Closer time. I don't know what to tell you. Like they're extremely far behind. In scenarios like this is where bruisers that Hypersnow will like Aurelia can just completely take over fights, right? You don't have the damage to actually focus her down. Her sustain is insane because she's so far accelerated.
Yeah.
especially with the Gore Drinker, as we saw previously as well, how long she stayed alive even when she was focused.
Well, Arrow is going to pierce the heavens as Morgan looking for Bertle once again. Umti on a mega flank. Gets the knockback though, and Effort is in so much trouble. He will be evaporated. And Bertle, he's able to run it out. He gets the ult. Karis is dove upon as Closer is going to find one as well. Live Sandbox. This is the end. They have marked it. The time is up. Bro, they had a decent effort in games 1 and 2. Able to win game 1, able to mainly win game 2, but in game 3, they were barely allowed to play the game. Live Sandbox will take this decider and they will move to 3rd place in the LCK.
And Sandbox going to showcase here that we thought that the game against D+ Kia was indicative of what this team was going to go through for the rest of the split. And then the loss against, or the win rather, against Homeline KT initially looked like, well, just caught them off guard. But the more we see of this team in games like this, I'm not going to count the first 2 games, as you very accurately pointed out, those were not a great...
Live Sandbox lost 0-2 and then won a 3rd game that we, for some reason, played.
You don't put that in the sales wheel. You know, you're like, leave that out conveniently as waiting here. Oh, unfortunately, seeing Fred Brian lose, always tough.
Humpty, they're behind you. They're behind you, dude. Oh, he got him. He got him in the end.
He got there in the end.
He's not being a Rudy Patootie. He was just a little bit dazed. After a difficult series.
Oh, Wheeler and Morgan hugging.
Very cute. Of course, they went to Worlds together, forged in the fire of a Humble Life Esports that barely made it, but then made it to the quarterfinals of the World Championship. Good to see that they are still good friends. Of course, you can't not be friends with Morgan. He's a wonderful guy, but didn't have the greatest of experiences on the Rift in that game number 3. Cassante got absolutely massive, and then Closer existed. And Willer is obviously there to be praised for his game number 2 save, right? It was a lot of Closer's effort done, but Willer's the one that managed to secure that Elder Drake. And that's a very happy Closer. And it's good to see Live Sandbox. I mean, you've taken a lot of the players out of it as Envy.
He did spam a lot of volleys in that game.
He did, and a lot of arrows. Just a lot of enchanted crystal arrows that are now sailing around Runeterra. You know, we've got...
Kyle gets me every time, man. It's like everyone's doing ceremonies like, yeah, we won.
Yeah. We have that thing of, you know, in Planet Earth, it's carbon dioxide that we're worried about. I think in Runeterra, it's arrows and super mega death rockets that they're worried about that are starting to pollute the skies. And today was a day where there were a lot of arrows that started circling.
Some of them were relevant, some of them were not. And after 2 games out of this series that were, I don't think, a great sales pitch for either team, right? Not the best representation, because as much as we joke about Brion, I do think that when this team looks on point, they're playing slow, surely, but they do actually contest a little bit more. They actually look for more teamfight angles, and I think that in game 1 and 2, you could kind of see that weren't maybe up to par as Envy. I think back to what was mentioned at the beginning of the splits, where he was saying, I want to change the opinion of people that they have of me, because his LCK spring split last year was not good.
No.
It was very rough. He was replaced by Prince in summer, and that's when Liv Sandbox really became the Liv Sandbox that got 1 game away from making it to Worlds. And
look, it was against the world champions.
Yeah, we didn't know that at the time,
no,
right? And obviously, if they had gone to Worlds, the top meta would have been a huge problem because they had Dove, lest we forget that.
Yep.
But
who was actually having a decent time over in the LPL.
Nice, good for
Played
him.
a Cassidy game, I believe, over the last week or so.
Hilarious.
It's pretty good.
So I'm glad he's doing well, as really just reads like Closer highlight reel.
Oh, it is.
And there were individually, Bertle really impressed me with this game as well. But I would be shocked because with champions like Aurelia, there is just a very clear you are going to carry or you're going to do nothing type of deal. And Closer carried.
He did. It looked really good. And honestly, this game felt like Bro had kind of ran out of energy. There wasn't a lot left in the tank from what we saw, and Live Sandbox just rolled over the top of them. And it just shows that they are very tenacious as a team, and not a lot gets to them, right? Like, the first 2 games were really difficult for Live Sandbox. They didn't win until the Nexus exploded in game number 2, and in game number 3, completely unfazed by the entire game states leading up to it. They just did their jobs and they won. And it's a very happy Bertel, who definitely deserves to be so after such a good early game.
And Sandbox is such an interesting team because they're kind of a team of rejected players in a way. Like both Bertel and Closer were slated to be these big future talents, and then neither of them really ever lived up to the hype that they had around them. Envy was replaced.
Like,
Wheeler was considered just a passenger on the Chovy death train, which I think at the time, obviously in hindsight, you can't really judge adequately the impact that he had, but seeing all those players then come together, and again, this is Breon. For Sandbox, we still don't really know where they slot in. We have yet to see them against one of the... Well, actually we did. It was against D+, but I repressed that memory because it was so bad. But still,